Earlier this month, I posted on Facebook asking you guys what you wanted to see. The idea that got the most likes was do a video for older people getting into tech, like over 27 years old. Now, the first thing I'm going to assume is that you're interested in a technical position like programming and don't want to work in a soft skills position like being a recruiter or project manager. If you want a video talking about how to get a job in those roles, fill out my feedback form. I'll leave a link in the comments below. To start working as a programmer, there's three main pathways. 1. Get a bachelor's in computer science or perhaps computer engineering and electrical engineering. However, I recommend computer science over both of those because it's the most direct degree to start working in tech. The second path is to take a boot camp, which usually costs between $5,000 to $20,000. You attend boot camp 6 days a week for 10 to 12 hours a day, and in 3 months, you'll likely get hired as a software engineer. Some of these boot camps are very reputable. Hack Reactor boasts a 99% graduate hire rate with an average graduate salary of $105,000. However, they only accept 7% of those who apply. There are also a lot of other boot camps that aren't as hard to get in. The third method is my personal favorite, and that's being self-taught. You can teach yourself everything that you need to know to get an entry-level job with one of the many online courses that barely cost anything. And if you're really broke, there's a few hundred YouTube channels that will teach you all the basics. Now let's go over the pros and cons of each path. Getting a bachelor's in computer science. The pros of getting a bachelor's is that you'll have a lot of opportunities to meet classmates that may help you in your career. But a lot of times, these classmates don't help a significant amount because they're just trying to get their foot in the door as well. The biggest pro of getting a bachelor's is getting the bachelor's, which traditional companies with very old mindsets still require. The cons of getting the bachelor's is that it'll take the longest to start working. Even if you're going back to school for a second bachelor's, it'll take at least 2 years before you're working full time. And the second con of getting a traditional bachelor's is that it'll usually cost the most, especially if you have to move away for college. Alright, so let's go over boot camps. The pros of going to boot camp are, first, you'll be guided into learning all the information you need to know as quickly as possible. The teachers usually have a lot of real-world experience. The second benefit is that the cohort you'll be studying with usually grows a strong bond since class sizes are small and you spend so much time together. Then the third pro of going to boot camp is that they focus on practical knowledge, while getting a bachelor's will usually teach you a lot of stuff that you'll never use in the working world. Next, let's go over the cons of going to boot camp. First, they have a large upfront cost, anywhere between $5,000 to $20,000. It's pretty steep. The second con, and this is scary for a lot of people, is that these boot camps are not certified, so you'll have to be sure to check the reputation thoroughly before enrolling. Now, the third con of going to boot camp is that if you do attend, you'll have to drop everything in your life for 3 months until the boot camp is over. In my opinion, going to a boot camp is a lot better than getting a second bachelor's in computer science, or just getting a bachelor's in computer science in general, because they only last 3 months and have a better reputation than most computer science programs. They will generally cost less as well and have a huge emphasis on only teaching practical skills, mostly focusing on skills that are in demand that are not taught in depth at computer science schools. Alright, next let's go over being self-taught, which is my personal favorite. The pros of being self-taught is that number 1, it costs almost nothing to learn coding online, so it's risk-free. Number 2, it's a very good indicator if you're very passionate and interested in tech. For me, the same is true for video editing. I can sit on YouTube and watch video editing tutorials for a long time because I'm passionate about the subject. The same goes for people who are truly passionate about programming. The third point is really important, and that is whether you do boot camp or get a bachelor's, you're going to eventually graduate and your skill set definitely won't stop growing there. Going to a boot camp or getting a bachelor's just builds your skill set enough to get an entry-level job. After you graduate, you'll likely end up teaching yourself more coding to expand your skill set. So in my opinion, you may as well just start off being self-taught, because eventually you're going to have to teach yourself anyways. Alright, so let's go over the cons of being self-taught. The first and most important thing is that a lot of people need the pressure and the structure of paying a lot of money in a classroom in order for them to focus. People tend to focus better in class when they pay their own money to attend. That's a really hard question to ask yourself, because you have to be sure that you actually enjoy working in tech. And not just forcing yourself because you feel like it's the in thing to do right now. Because if you don't enjoy the work, you'll likely start hating your life and then want to change careers to something else. The second con of being self-taught is that this route can be the slowest to getting a high-paying job, because you'll be learning at a steady and gradual rate. It may also take a long time to get a high-paying job because you'll spend years at a smaller company to build up your skill set. The third con of being self-taught is that you'll need more confidence in yourself than a normal person would to get a job, because a lot of people feel like they're unqualified unless they have a bachelor's, and believe that companies won't hire someone without a bachelor's, which is inaccurate, at least for the tech industry. Now, getting a job after you get a bachelor's or attend a boot camp is fairly straightforward. You just have to use the network that the college or boot camp provides to get some interviews, and hopefully after several interviews, you land a position. I'm going to go more in depth with the self-taught route in a future video, because there's a lot to learning a skill set on your own well enough to the point where someone will hire you. Matthew Martin, the software engineer I interviewed in my software engineer reality versus expectations video, also believes in being self-taught, because he's a self-taught software engineer himself. He started working at a random small tech company as a warehouse associate, not even doing any programming at all, and eventually worked his way up to becoming a software engineer at Logitech, a giant technology company. I like using him as an example because people believe that if you're self-taught, you can't get a job at a large company. Again, that's not true, but it does take a while to work your way up from a small company. You can check out my interview with Matthew Martin by clicking here. Or you can check out my interview with one of the co-founders of Hack Reactor by clicking here. Be sure to subscribe to get my future videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Algorithms.
Can you define algorithms first for the audience, since we have a lot